The College Football Playoff Committee releases their rankings this coming Tuesday. We're going to give you ours right now because the committee's going to take their time, but we got a pretty good feel on this thing, and we think we kind of know what this thing should look like. So we have our top 6, our first 2 out, and our top 4. I will stress this right now. If your team is not where you want them to be in these rankings at this point in time, that's fine. That's great, actually. It might even favor you because there's a lot of football left to be played. A lot of these teams are actually going to play each other. They're going to sort it out. That's why we love the regular season. Without further ado, let's get to the good part. At number 6, we got Alabama. They were off this week. They play LSU in Death Valley this coming Saturday under the lights. That'll be a phenomenal atmosphere, phenomenal environment. The big thing on Bama, they still control their own destiny. They still got Bryce Young playing quarterback. They still have the greatest coach of all time running the program, as we like to say, Coke bottles and all. If Bama wins out, they're going to be in the dance. It'll either be a rematch with Tennessee or it'll be Georgia. That's the scenarios I see playing out. But if Bama has one loss as an SEC champ, they're dancing. Rest assured. But right now, they're number 6 in our rankings. Number 5, another team on a bye week, we got the Clemson Tigers. They go to Notre Dame this coming week, and we will learn even more about the Clemson Tigers. Every single week we say it's a test, it's a hurdle, whatever. This is a big game for them in terms of their college football playoff aspirations. Because Notre Dame, as up and down as they have been all year, when they're up, they're dangerous. And Clemson's going to have their work cut out for them. If they show up like they did against Syracuse, it might be a little bit of a different rankings that we see when we do this again this following Sunday. What does the offense look like? How much do they kind of rein DJ in? Or what kind of approach do they take there? Because like last time we saw them, we saw Cade Klubnik get the keys to the offense and didn't light it up statistically, but we saw a spark. Everyone and their mother is going to watch that, but the fact remains the same. For Clemson as a program, they need to be undefeated to get to the dance. A one-loss Clemson's not going to do it. So they got to keep that record clean and keep on chugging along as they have been. But, you know, Dabo and company, they say the same thing. Like to ride the Roy bus. Rest of y'all, they're riding the Roy bus at number 5. I promise you, they're fine with that. They know the path to get there. And I have a sneaking suspicion they will play their best football in November. Leave it at that. At number 4, we got the Michigan Wolverines, 29-7, big win over Michigan State in a rivalry game. A lot of things happened outside of that game. Not here to talk about that. What I am here to talk about is they just continue to play consistent kind of bully ball. As a Michigan fan, maybe you want to see a little more fireworks in terms of downfield passing. Hey, we got J.J. McCarthy. Let that man eat. Let him cook. He's so talented, so much potential, right? Well, right, but if you can turn and hand the ball to Blake Corum or Donovan Edwards and have a night where you have 276 yards rushing, you're cool with that. We said it in our reaction to that game. You would like three-pointers. Like, you're never going to say three-pointers are a bad thing in terms of basketball. Like, you'll take threes all day. But when you can get layups and you can live in the paint and be dominant, you're going to do that. And so that's what they've been able to do. Would expect at some point they have to unleash it a little bit more downfield, but until they do, this formula works. And J.J. McCarthy's only going to get more comfortable. They're going to continue to be more dangerous. The defense has shown absolutely zero drop-off, even after losing 2 NFL edge rushers. Michigan, for us, is number 4 this week. But I'm telling you, they're on that collision course, quote-unquote, where they're going to play Ohio State. And if the assumption is they're unbeaten, that may end up boding well for the Wolverines. Probably more on that in a second. Georgia is number 3 for us this week. They are kind of just rolling along. They have a date set with Tennessee this following weekend, and I cannot wait to see it. Now, Georgia, we have ranked them a little bit lower just because of what we haven't seen from them. And I say all this to say they control their own destiny just like Bama. Now, obviously, being undefeated, you're saying, no, duh. Of course they control their own destiny. Why you got my dog so low? I'm just saying they haven't had the same gauntlet some of these other programs have had, but they've taken care of business. If Georgia keeps winning, that's going to be the way this thing goes. They're going to be back in the college football playoff and be a lot of people's pick to win the national title. I'm just very curious to see how much more they have to build, if that makes sense. Like, the experience is a thing you just can't account for, and that's something that they are still, I think, acquiring defensively. But Georgia, the thought kind of remains the same. Same thing with Clemson. Their best football may be ahead of them. Kirby Smart said, our best football is definitely ahead of us. Kirby Smart knows his program. Scary thing for the rest of the country, but the Dogs, for us right now, based on their body of work, we have them at 3. Don't get too upset, all right? The Dogs are going to eat. We'll leave it at that. At number 2, we have the Tennessee Volunteers. They have 5 top 25 wins. They have one of the best, if not the best, offenses in the country. And they absolutely took Kentucky to the woodshed. A ranked Kentucky team. The final score was 44-6. It probably could have been much worse than that, if we're being honest. And the reason why we have them at 2, and the reason why this may feel a little bit weird if you're hearing this, it's because of the cognitive dissonance with Tennessee. They won 7 games last year. They're in their second year under a new head coach. It's not supposed to happen this way. It's not supposed to be quite as fluid. They lost to Bama by 28 a season ago. They beat them this year. This Tennessee program, if you're looking just at 2022, and that's how we do this thing, you should be looking just 2022. They've been one of the best, if not the best team in the country, but we have them at number 2 this week. At number 1, we still have the Ohio State Buckeyes. We weren't going to drop them after a 44-31 win over a number 13 ranked Penn State team. Say what you want about the way that it kind of took them a second to find it, but we know when they find it, they're one of the best. Again, if not the best, we have them as the best team in the country. They still have to go to Northwestern. They play Indiana. They go to Maryland, which will probably be their next time we really see them tested. And they finish the year at home with the Michigan Wolverines. Now, if they both show up undefeated in that game, and the winner of that game wins the Big Ten, it'll be a fascinating conversation to take inventory of the rest of college football and see if a one-loss Michigan, that's not a Big Ten champ, or a one-loss Ohio State, that's not a Big Ten champ, did they still get in the dance? We'll visit that discussion at a later date. Something to keep an eye on with the Buckeyes. But the fact remains the same. When they hit that monster gear, as we like to call it, when they have that star power like Super Smash Brothers, they're untouchable. So for us, Ohio State is the number 1 team in the country this week. So to recap it for you, at number 6, we have the Alabama Crimson Tide. They control their own destiny. Number 5, we got Clemson, just riding that Roy bus. At number 4, we have the Michigan Wolverines. At number 3, we have Georgia. Same thing like we talked about with Alabama. If they win the SEC, I don't think it's a discussion. They're going to be in the dance. At number 2, we have Tennessee. In 2022, I don't know if there's been a more impressive program, but at number 1, we have the Ohio State Buckeyes. Just been consistent, been dominant, did nothing to drop them this week as they rolled past Penn State, but they are, for us, the best team in the country after all the dust settled this past weekend. I'm Jody Piquel. This has been The Hard Count. Nick Brake does the real heavy lifting. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Come join us. We have a real good time. We do content every single day. We go live on Tuesday. We go live on Thursdays. We're in your podcast feed. Come hang out, subscribe, join the party. So until then, we're going to keep the party rolling, and we will see y'all next time. Hey, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.